Sweet William is the name of the villa that we discovered abandoned on the breathtaking Greek island of Zakynthos.
Through the incredible power of YouTube, the original owners and builders of the house found our renovation channel and reached out to us.
In this video, we'll uncover the history behind Villa Sweet William's name and explore why the family chose this Ionian island gem to build their new life under the Mediterranean sun.
In the 1980s, a British family made the bold and life-changing decision to start anew on the Greek island of Zante.
Their home was christened Villa Sweet William, not only as a tribute to the beautiful flower, but as a homage to one half of the intrepid couple who embarked on this Mediterranean adventure. They were Dora and William, pioneers of their time.
New Year's Day 2025 brought us a message we never anticipated. We were out on a long walk, attempting to clear our heads from the previous night's celebrations, when the notifications appeared on our phones. Messages that would connect us to Sweet William's past in ways we couldn't have imagined.
Sadly, Bill and Dora are no longer with us, but their son and daughter-in-law were kind enough to spend some time running us through the history of Villa Sweet William.
Was it you who found the videos in the first place, our channel on YouTube?
Yeah, I'd been...
It just pops up on your home screen one day, or how did that?
No, you know, as you get older, you can't do so many things. You know, I still manage to do quite a bit, but when I sit down and look at YouTube, I was looking at somebody got somewhere in Ireland, and because we had that small holding, and I particularly looked at the small people gone to Spain, gone to Ireland, gone to Portugal, and doing up an old house. Somebody come to Wales, and I just suddenly sat there. I thought, I wonder if there's anybody in Greece. And I put house renovation in Greece instead of, you know, and 2 or 3 down, I see Sweet William, and Chris sat next to me. I said, I can't believe this. Before I opened it, I said, I can't believe this. He said, what? I said, there's a house here in Greece being renovated called Villa Sweet William, or Sweet William. I said, it can't be. And we clicked on it. Wow. We nearly cried, didn't we? Yeah. Yeah.
And then I said, well, there's a message saying you're renovating my granddad's villa. And I was like, do you think it's legit? And I can remember thinking, oh, is someone like pulling our leg a bit? And then obviously, we started speaking to, it was just like, wow, absolutely wow. We just couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, amazing.
We began this YouTube journey with no grand expectations. We're simply a couple with a passion for travel who decided to document our adventure renovating an old Greek house for anyone who might be interested.
The fact that our videos led us to Villa Sweet William's original owners is an unexpected treasure we could never have anticipated.
And we never really got into it to build a massive subscriber base and make money and all that stuff, because one of my friends is really into like watching old renovations from around the world, and he said, well, you know, why don't you just film what you're doing over there, even if, you know, nothing comes of it, and it's just interesting. It's like
it's like a diary,
like a document.
It's
a document,
a
part of our life. So we thought, you know, we've got nothing to lose, so we started filming with no real intention of doing much other than, you know, making videos mainly for, you know, whoever might find it interesting.
The first video they discovered was one of our earliest creations, truly basic in every sense.
Filmed on a smartphone with simple editing as we were just finding our footing in content creation. Little did we know these humble beginnings would forge such a meaningful connection.
That one and that was the one we saw, the first one, is when you walked through that door, and you know, our hearts just stopped, because it's just like when we left it. You know, nothing had changed.
No, all the ornaments and everything.
The only thing that was missing was that we had a diesel heater before they had the central heating.
We gradually realised the people we bought the villa from hadn't really altered the property or its contents at all. It was surprising to discover that everything we found when we arrived had remained largely untouched since the 1980s.
The original owners recognised items in our videos that had been part of their daily lives for decades. even a champagne cork with a euro embedded in it that we instinctively preserved.
And that's where Dora got that champagne
with the euro in it.
Oh, really?
Euro in it. Yeah.
It's funny because when we were like, obviously when we first turned up, everything was left by the previous people. All the drawers were, you could barely open them because they were so packed with stuff. But there'd been some mice in the villa. We had a rat in the loft that woke us up one morning, which was a bit of a shock. And yeah, I don't think anyone had been there for a couple of years, maybe because of COVID. So it felt kind of like it needed clearing out and freshening up, which was kind of our first task. But yeah, I found that champagne cork with the euro in it, and I looked at that, and I didn't throw it. I put it on the side, and I was like, someone's done that for good luck. And yeah, I didn't expect you to remember or know what I was kind of talking about, really. So yeah, that was really nice. And when I was going to buy a nice box frame and put some pictures and bits in it of Bill and Dora, and I'll make sure that goes in it as well, and it can all stay at the.
That's
we just
lovely.
wish we kept more of it now.
We do wish we'd kept more now.
More about the history at the time, we would have definitely have kept more little like knickknacks and things like that.
While we now wish we'd kept more of the original items, knowing their sentiment, we're particularly grateful that we preserved and restored key pieces like the original villa sign.
Throughout our conversation, we began to appreciate just how courageous their decision to relocate to Greece in the 1980s truly was.
It's really funny you say about things touching your heart, and I can remember looking at the photos thinking, gosh, we thought we were quite edgy and, you know, like buying a place in Greece. Like none of our friends have like bought a place abroad. No one else is doing this.
You were doing it 4 years ago.
And then you were doing it when we were at primary school, and I'm looking at it thinking, my God, we're not edgy at all. Bill and Dora had the monopoly on this one. Like, wow.
Oh dear.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
but that made me laugh when you said you were in kindergarten school when we were moving out there.
doing all of that. Yeah.
We were both. One of the things, it's quite ironic, really. One of the things that we both liked about the villa before we bought it was the fact that it was described in the advert as an 80s villa. Chris and I were both born in 1980, so it was kind of like, oh, it's an 80s villa. I don't know, just stood out to us a little bit.
Yeah, it felt right.
We hope you're enjoying this glimpse into Villa Sweet William's history. Our conversation spanned almost 2 hours, so we've divided it into sections that we'll release weekly.
If you'd like to follow this entire journey, please hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already.
We can bore you with all our
Not
Zakynthos stories.
Not at all. It's so nice. It's so nice to hear so much about the villa and life, and we couldn't be happier.
We've often spoken about Zakynthos having a special energy that evokes a profound sense of well-being.
It's one of the island's qualities that we cherish the most, and it was fascinating to discover that they experienced the same kind of magical feeling decades before us.
Anyway, we went to Zakynthos, and I felt on top of the world. I'd never felt so well in my life, and we went back again. And the same thing happened.
We ended up feeling amazing, and it was like, we can't wait to go back there. And we'd actually been looking at properties in France for about 5 years, thinking that that's where we would buy.
As children of the 1980s ourselves, we were completely unaware that for many years foreigners could only purchase homes in select Greek islands or regions.
Well, in that time, in the 1980s, you could only buy, this is probably interesting for your video, in the 1980s you could only buy a property in Greece on about 5 islands. And Zakynthos was one of them.
Wow.
You could buy elsewhere, but you had to have a 50% share with a Greek.
During the 1980s and 1990s, Greece maintained strict property laws for foreigners, particularly in border regions and certain islands due to national security concerns.
foreign citizens required special government approval to purchase property in restricted areas, including many islands such as Rhodes, Kos and Lesbos.
However, foreigners could more readily acquire properties on islands like Corfu, Kefalonia, Zakynthos and many of the Cyclades, including Mykonos and Santorini.
These restrictions gradually eased, especially for EU citizens, making Greek property investment considerably more accessible today. Fortunately, Zante was among the islands where foreigners could purchase land or homes.
So the reason we haven't got many photographs of it being built is because the landowner put us in touch with the guy we bought the land off of, he sold us the land, and he put us in touch with a cousin, as they do over there, with a cousin who was a builder, his cousin had this big factory in Athens where they made these, like, you would call IKEA houses. And we picked it out of, like we said, we picked it out of a catalogue. And at that time, in a village, you could build what you like, but outside the village, you had to have what they call strema, which was 4,000 square meters of land. It all happened so quickly. We paid the money, and I think we left. And we left in the last flight in the October. By the time we come back in May, the base had been and it was up. And the only photographs we had were the people that were, our friends that were there. They run in a bar, and of course they run it in the winter as well. They couldn't get round there, so but we can't find them photographs.
Okay.
We've hunted high and low. We've been up in the loft.
We'll explore the construction of Villa Sweet William and similar Greek homes in greater depth soon. But first, we wanted to understand why the family had chosen a traditional village location rather than an area with a larger expat or tourist presence.
What I also wanted to ask you was, because it was kind of the village location that we wasn't sure about, because it's not near the beaches, as in a tourist resort. But there's something about that village. What did you find about that? Was you just looking for land, and there was only a few locations that you could find land in, so you ended up in that village, or was there anything in particular that drew you to it?
A couple of things, really. One, the price was right. It was only $1.5 million. The price was right. It was in a village. It wasn't far from the airport. We didn't really know much about it, and because our friends were friends with the guy on the corner, and we'd been there for lunch and dinner and all sorts of things, and we felt sort of safe just to buy that, because we knew that Mum and Dad would be near town, and that we would be looking for somewhere else, and to us it didn't matter. We wanted somewhere really quiet.
We've discovered that village life is something we deeply appreciate, despite our initial uncertainties. One aspect we particularly value about this community is the make, do and mend philosophy, where resources are treasured and items repaired rather than discarded, a sustainable approach we all share.
And you're doing such a good job, and of all the, I have watched quite a few of these ones, but you make it so interesting, because lots of people say, oh, we're doing this and doing that, but you're saying, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm, and you get there, and it's great. It's absolutely great. And it's quite a big, about a third of an acre, and which isn't very big. It's about 3 times the size of Zakynthos bit. And I've got all this rubbish stuff that I keep to repair and make things.
Yeah.
And I'm exactly the same. It won't be thrown away unless I can repair it.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested in what you're doing.
Oh, that's really nice to hear, because it is important to us anyway. And before we even knew that we'd find the people that built it, we still wanted to just try and keep its character, keep its charm, keep it, you know, as traditional as we could, because it's such a cute little. I mean, the area is beautiful, the land is beautiful, and the house is just so. Like, it's perfect for us, isn't it?
Yeah, and the people next door and across the road, and yeah, it's the whole package, isn't it? It's
Yes.
just,
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
lovely. It's a really happy place.
Yeah. It really. Yeah. We've had some lovely memories.
As the conversation continued, we felt increasingly grateful for our decision to document this renovation journey, which has rekindled memories not only for the original family, but also for friends who once visited Villa Sweet William in its heyday.
We've got a friend that used to, her son used to work for British Airways, and they used to get what they call standby tickets, which were free. If there were seats on the plane, you could get on it, and they didn't pay for the tickets because her son worked for, and any airline in the world used to accept these. Well, they used to come out nearly every weekend for nothing, and they'd turn up, and we sent the link to them, and he's not been very well. Well, and she's never been technically minded at all. She can't even open the computer. Well, she's found all your videos.
oh wow!
And now she's thrilled to bits because her brother came round, and now he projects it up onto the television.
Oh.
And they were out there. They helped us no end, didn't they? Putting up the fence and doing the garden and that. So they're really into it. Well, I spoke to her a couple of days ago, and she says it's great. I can watch every episode on the television now.
Oh, amazing!
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
It's really moving to learn how our renovation is bringing joy to people who hold cherished memories of this place. We hope you've enjoyed this conversation as much as we have. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already done so.
Next week, we'll delve deeper into the construction of the house, along with some entertaining Greek anecdotes.
We hope you'll join us then.
But for now, we'll give the last word to the family about the importance of following your heart and living your dreams.
My dad, when he went out, he was 70.
He was 70.
But you know, that gave my dad another 10 years being out there. He drove around in that little Jeep. He had a Suzuki Jeep as well. And they drove around there with a top, and they had the dog in the back. And
time of their lives.
So they're having the time of their lives, and they used to go out and have a meal and have a drink. And, of course, there was no...
At the beginning of the year, the family who built our 1980s Greek home discovered our channel on YouTube and reached out to us.
We sat down for an incredible conversation with them about the house, the island, and all aspects of Greek life.
Last week, we explored how the villa got its name and discovered how the family found the land our house sits on.
This week, we're diving into the construction of the villa while finding out how offering to help with the washing up was met with a response they wasn't quite expecting. Our house, built in the 1980s, was truly ahead of its time, using sustainable materials like wood wool and a modular prefabricated frame. The building was designed to withstand the seismic activity common in this region.
It's clearly doing its job well. After 40 years and approximately 2,000 earthquakes of magnitude 4 or higher, the building shows no signs of cracking, even surviving a magnitude 6.8 earthquake that hit Zakynthos in October 2018. Let's hear more about how the house was constructed.
So that house came in sections. So on the outside is I don't know what when I was built, they used to call it wood wool.
All right.
It's not straw, but it's like shavings that's mixed with concrete, and you can saw through it quite easily. But it's about 2 inches, about 5 centimeters thick.
Right.
On the outside, and then they put, and of course there's the wooden frame. Then on the outside there's the wood wool, and then on the outside it is a metal.
Like mesh.
Mesh. Yeah, and then they plaster over that. So when the earthquake comes, the house just goes like an aeroplane wing. If it didn't move, it would crack.
Yeah.
And so and as I say before, I think all 3 of our houses were built like that.
We're confident that Villa Sweet William will stand strong for decades to come. The original owners did an exceptional job maintaining the house and clearly knew what they were doing.
However, as is often the case, when you're new in town, some of the island's long-time residents felt compelled to offer their unsolicited advice.
It made me laugh. I really got the giggles because when I think you were painting a wall at the front, and they'd put a little wall which wasn't there before, and then the fence. And Dennis, or the honest, has come over and said,
doing it all right.
But when we were there putting up the fence or doing anything, I mean, I was a carpenter and I worked for the local council, and I did fencing, I did roofing, I did all sorts of stuff. And everybody and his dog would stop their car and say, "You're doing that wrong." Everybody, it doesn't matter who it was, whether it was a butcher or a baker. You're doing it wrong. It's not. You're not supposed to do it like that.
Obviously, such advice is always offered with the very best of intentions. The Greek people are truly wonderful, and we found they consistently go out of their way to lend a helping hand.
One of our neighbours, now retired, worked as a builder during Sweet William's construction. One day he noticed the family cutting bricks to build the shed and became curious about their method.
Another funny story, Chris, about those we call them breeze blocks.
Yeah.
Most of that shed was built between. I did the woodwork, and in between time, Darren and Bill were building the shed.
Building the walls.
And Bill made a little wooden frame that you put on top of the block, and then put a layer of cement on, so you got the same thickness all the way round. Bill was like that, and I still do the same. We invent things and make things. And anyway, so some of them blocks come. When you buy those blocks, you probably get about 20 that have got the 2 holes in, and you probably get 2 that come in half. So you've got half of one, when you come to the corner.
Yeah.
So anyway, he gave Darren a hacksaw, and Darren had to hacksaw through. It was partly sort of gone through, and he just had to hacksaw. But it took him about 10 or 15 minutes to hacksaw if you hadn't got enough. So anyway, have you met Lambros from across the road?
Yeah, he comes over. Yeah.
Yeah. He's such a lovely guy.
Yeah, he's fun. He used to be a plasterer, didn't he, or something to do with construction?
Yeah. He's a Gramser, and Lambros come across and said to Darren, "What you doing?" So Darren said, "I'm sawing this in half." So he got one. He got it because he's a big. I don't know. He was a big guy.
He is a big guy, yeah.
Yeah. He held it in one hand, the brick, and he got a hammer and he just hit it and it fell in half. And Darren had spent weeks cutting these.
Kept him busy.
Pardon?
It kept him busy.
Kept him busy.
Sometimes the simple tried and tested methods work best, but until someone shows you how, you have no idea.
Much like our septic tank situation. Until this conversation, we weren't certain whether we had mains drainage or a cesspit that would soon need pumping. The family confirmed what Chris had suspected.
And do you realise that the cesspit is underneath that car park?
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that. You know what? We've had this conversation. I said to Joe, we can't be on mains drainage here. We're in the middle of nowhere. So because we didn't check when we first moved in, but I've thought about it several times. I thought it's got to be only a matter of time before we need to have the cesspit pumped. And I saw the manhole there and thought, I didn't stick my nose in there and see. I thought that must be a cesspit.
I kept saying, no, surely it can't be under there. It can't be there. I'm sure it is.
Yeah, what it is, Chris, is how they did it, and it was very effective. They used those breeze blocks, but in between the joints, the vertical joints, they didn't put any cement. So it's like it's a soak away.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
what fed all the trees, right?
Oh, so
Yeah.
you're saying it doesn't need pumping? Do you not get it
No.
pumped? Oh, okay.
In the all the years we were there, we never had it emptied.
Ah, right.
It
Okay.
just soaks back into the environment.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So what it does, that's why they tell you in Greece that they say it's because it's the size. When we used to go on holiday, oh, don't put the toilet paper down the toilet
Gonna end up in
because
the soil.
it get caught in the pipe. Well, they're standard 4-inch pipes, but
Yeah.
what it is that paper gets caught in between those slots in the. I mean, it's about as big as that base that you can see, but
Yeah.
it's probably, if I remember right, it's about 2 meters deep.
Ah, right.
So
Okay.
all the liquid soaks out through the holes, and then the solid stuff gets it eats itself. And so I don't know whether you do put the toilet paper down, but
No, we don't. No.
no, we never did.
No.
It takes a bit of getting used to, doesn't it? Putting it in the bin at the side.
I said to Quick when we took the kids, I was like, don't put the toilet paper down the toilet because it's a job we're going to have to deal with otherwise. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. No. That's fascinating. I never knew that. When we've had this we have literally had that conversation several times now about the cesspit and where does the drain, where does it go? Drainage lead? So
yeah, no, not once. It never ever filled up, did it?
No, never.
So it seems the small pipework story was just a myth. But one thing that's absolutely true is the incredible hospitality of our neighbours and Greek people in general.
And tell you what, we could never get over. You could turn up at a Greek's house, and perhaps they were having a meal or something. There was always enough for somebody else. There was always enough to give you food.
To make you sit down and eat what they were eating.
Yeah, even if you'd just eaten, you know.
I've had that. I have had that. I have said before, I've literally just had lunch. Come in, here, plate of this, plate of that, plate of this. It's like, whoa, no, I can't eat all that. No, have more.
Yeah.
This led to an amusing story about one of our neighbours urging caution against bringing our custom of men helping in the kitchen over to Greece.
We had a funny when we were we went out there before we moved out there. We went out about 86 or something like that, and we went out for Christmas. We spent Christmas out there. Went via Athens, and Lambros and Lisa opposite invited us for Christmas dinner. But then they didn't. Christmas was nothing to them. Their big thing, of course, is Easter.
Yeah.
And we went over there, and she'd cooked a lovely meal. It wasn't a Christmas meal, but it was a lovely meal. And when we'd finished, Bill and I got up to go wash up. So Lambros says to us, "What you doing?" So we said, "We're going to help. We're going to wash up." "Don't bring that system here," he said. No, you sit down. Yeah, don't bring that system here.
Horrified.
Of course, this wasn't just a Greek thing. The tradition of men going out to earn the money while women managed the home was prevalent in many parts of the world, including in our home country.
Drop a comment below and let us know what it's like in the country you're from.
This all began to change when popular US TV shows Dallas and Dynasty arrived, initially showing traditional portrayals of women, but shifting as the years went on.
When back in the day when we were buying the house, the couple we were buying the land off of, we used to go, we was always invited there for a meal. And there was husband and wife, grandmother, and three children.
Yeah.
And Dora and Bill, Chris and me sat round this, and the wife she laid the table. She wouldn't have any help. She cooked everything. She served it up, and the guy he sat there and he nodded to, and she just sat down. She'd served everybody. Wife had just sat down, and she looked up, and the husband nodded to her, And she got up, she went inside, she come out with a packet of cigarettes, lit the cigarette and put it in his mouth. Yeah, that's how it was then. And about half an hour later, it was getting a bit chilly, and he nodded at her again. She got up from eating her meal, walked round, and he got his jacket on the back of his chair, and she took the off the back of his chair and put it over his shoulders.
What?
Wow.
Oh, yeah. Let's not even go there, Mike.
But you know what changed everything? Over the years, we see it change because they were watching Dallas
Dynasty or something.
Dallas and Dynasty, and they realised that women around the rest of the world were, you know, doing what they wanted, and that changed a lot of things. That did.
It was Big TV before that.
Yeah.
At the start of the year, the family who originally built our 1980s Greek home stumbled across our channel on YouTube and reached out to us.
Last week, we took a deep dive into how the house was built and heard an incredible story about the age-old power struggle between the sexes. This week, we're looking at the challenges of moving to a foreign country in the 1980s and discovering how a simple haircut led to an unexpected new pet. Let's jump in.
When we arrived there, the waiting list for a telephone was 7 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
We don't have a telephone there.
No, well, there was no mobiles, you see. They didn't exist when
No.
we went there.
But did you have to, or did you manage to get in through the back door somehow?
We did, but we had to. If we had to phone home, we had to go into town to Otte. Do you know Otte?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the big telephone exchange in St Mark's Square, and we used to have to go in there, go into a booth, pick up the phone, and then the operator would said, "What number do you want?" We had to dial it, and there was like a meter on the wall, and she'd put you through, and then when you'd finished, you had to go and pay at the counter.
Yeah, I don't think things are much, because that's still the best place to get like a 5G signal on the island as well. So if you're struggling, because we upload videos when we're over there, and if you're struggling with signal like we do in the village, sometimes if you head anywhere near the town square, the signal goes right up, and you can get a better you got a better chance of uploading your video. So things are different, kind of still the same.
The same but different.
It's incredible how much life can change in just a few decades. While supermarkets have made everything more convenient, there's still something really special about shopping at small independent stores when we get the chance.
Yeah.
I mean, there wasn't any supermarkets or anything like that when we moved there.
Oh no!
No, just there was
little corner shops.
Yeah, or then a butcher's, a baker's, a greengrocer's. It was just like going back, you know, 50 years, which was lovely, really. It just made you.
You live like that, isn't it? Like you go greengrocers, such nice fresh produce.
Living in a village, we get to witness all kinds of little quirks, like the vans that cruise past our house, announcing their daily goods over loudspeakers.
Market, there is still a lorry that comes around with birds in the back, because I've seen Dionysus go and choose his chickens when I've been cutting the grass, and it's it takes your breath away a little bit, because you're like, oh, that's quite brutal. But it's also the way of life, isn't it? That's, before it arrives in your nice supermarket packet, that's exactly what's happening.
Yeah.
Giving back is really important to us. I've loved volunteering with Zante Strays, and you can find links to other charities we support in all of our video descriptions. It was heartwarming to learn that the family who built our villa were also passionate about animal welfare.
I was involved in involved in the animal welfare. It was called the Zakynthos Animal Welfare.
Okay.
And they sent me to England, and I had always loved horses. I'd had horses. We had horses in Zakynthos. We had about 5 at one time. And they sent me to train in England in the winter to trim the hooves and do their teeth. So, and then I used to travel around the islands doing donkeys' teeth and
Wow.
and for this charity.
Venture.
Yeah. So yeah, we got some. We had some lovely times. They sent us all over the place. Cyprus. We did it for free. We didn't. They paid for our fares, but then the time was free.
Look after them.
Our neighbours have now had 3 different British families living next door, and they've been nothing but kind and helpful. We wanted to share a quick story about how they helped us out before they'd even met us.
I think they did know because they were really good. There was no
And they helped tidy up the garden.
there was no water going to the property before we arrived for the very first time, and Dennis had really put himself out to speak to the water authorities and a plumber locally, I think, and he'd got all the water reconnected for us. So when we arrived, we actually had running water, which obviously you need out there in that heat in August.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
The family used to drive an open-top Jeep around the island, a beautiful way to explore. But as you can imagine, it also made it pretty easy for unexpected passengers to hop in.
And they come home one night and they found that they'd been given a dog. The dog was still in the back of the Jeep. Somebody had given a dog.
Yeah, I mean, the dog situation obviously is still quite like that over there. I've got involved with the Zante strays rescue a couple of times, and there's obviously dogs out there that still need lots of help. But yeah, it's lovely, like you said, you brought your dogs back, and one day we might have a great dog.
Yeah.
Have you ever been on the receiving end of a surprise gift like that? Let us know in the comments below.
Now let's hear another fun story. This one involves a haircut, a bottle of Ouzo, and a couple of furry little surprises.
There was a chap who used to cut hair. I don't know if he's a proper barber or not. A friend went there, and that was when it was the old money then. I don't know how many drachmas he charged him, but it was something, worked out about 50p for the haircut. And during that time, he was given 3 glasses of Ouzo, and when he left, he gave him 2 kittens.
Wow.
Brilliant.
Oh dear.
Greece is, of course, an extremely popular summer destination, and for good reason. But often, the most magical moments happen outside of the peak tourist season. What was your favourite season? It gets really hot in the summer, doesn't it? But we haven't spent lots of time in the spring and autumn, but they seem like really nice times on the island.
Yeah, May, June, and September.
Yeah.
That's when it's the nicest.
Yeah.
Or even before season, March.
Yeah.
March, April.
Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah, lovely.
It's the best time.
Lovely times, yeah. But even the winters never really got very cold. I mean, it did used to rain quite a lot in the winter. But
it would rain for 2 hours, and then the sun would come out, lovely. Then it would rain, and then like that. But of course, it made things grow.
One of those pictures that you sent with the, it looked like you grew lots of vegetables. It looked like an allotment in one of those photos.
Yeah.
Grow everything.
Yeah, and Dad had a greenhouse at the back.
Yeah, I saw the greenhouse. Yeah.
So you must have been pretty self-sufficient when you were there. You must have.
Yeah.
Because things grow year round as well, don't they? They don't really have. Although it's winter, things still grow through the winter because it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't get that cold, does it?
No, the only thing that Bill couldn't. He tried everything and he grew everything, but the only thing he couldn't do was runner beans.
Yeah.
They wouldn't grow
they
really
wouldn't.
Strange. They used to get the leaves, but no beans. Really odd, wasn't it? Yeah, obviously something missing in the soil.
Yeah.
But all the fruit trees and that, they were all planted by Bill and Dora.
Wow.
Yeah, so all the lemons and the oranges that you're getting are what they planted.
That big bottle brush. We've got all the family. We've got quite a big family and friends, and that used to come out. And of course, they're all watching your videos, and that big bottle brush that was by the carport. That thing with the red things. That was just a twig when they put it in.
Massive.
I have never in this country or ever seen one that big. They're difficult to grow, to get going.
Even when we try our best to speak the language, things can sometimes get hilariously lost in translation. Here's a story about a classic DIY misunderstanding that still makes us laugh.
I don't know whether they still do it, but when we were out there, you couldn't buy anything by the meter. Everything was sold by the kilo. So olive oil sold by the kilo, wine sold by the kilo. If you bought rope, you said, I want 14 meters, they would measure 14 meters and then weigh it. and then we used to go to a little shop down the end of the road. We used to call it the bucket shop because it used to have buckets everywhere. And we wanted some nails. So we looked up, this is the first year we're there, and we didn't speak any Greek. And we looked up and says to the owner, have you got a kilo of nails? Frowned and kept saying in Greek, 1 kilo, yeah, in there, and a kilo, yeah, there, of nails. Anyway, we eventually told somebody, and she was asking for fingernails. A kilo of fingernails.
At least you were trying.
Oh dear.
God, must have thought I was bonkers.
Like many popular destinations, Zakynthos has changed a lot over the years, including the need for a bigger airport to welcome all of the visitors.
But when we first went there, there was the airport wasn't where it was now. There was a building that's still there the other side, and you got off the airplane and took your bag off the car. And then they upgraded it, and then we had one conveyor belt, and that half of it was outside and half of it was inside. So they unloaded it outside in the rain, and then it come through 2 little doors, and then you picked it off. It was soaking wet, you know.
When we first went there, we had to drop down in Italy because the runway wasn't long enough, was it?
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to drop down in Italy.
As you've probably guessed by now, we're completely in love with Zante. We hope these stories from the past have brought a smile to your face. If you've enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe and share. We'll leave you with a few nostalgic photos of what the island used to look like, and we can't wait to see you again next time. Bye for now. On New Year's Day 2025, the most incredible thing happened.
The power of social media.
We received an email from somebody really important, and the email was titled, "My Granddad Built Your Villa."
I said, I can't believe this. He said, what? I said, there's a house here in Greece being renovated called Villa Sweet William. And we clicked on it. Wow, we really cried. We went to Zakynthos, and you know, I felt on top of the world.
It's the whole package, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
It is, yeah, it's lovely. It's a really happy place.
My dad, when he went out, he was 70.
He was 70.
But you know, that gave my dad another 10 years being out there. He drove around in that little Jeep. He had a Suzuki Jeep as well. And they drove around there with a top, and they had the dog in the back. And
Time of their lives.
so they're having the time of their lives, and they used to go out and have a meal and have a drink.